So my name is Kaliya Krishna. I'm here in the New Gokul farm, which I help manage, and it's 2 hours from Sydney. So we've had this farm for going on towards 30 years. I've been here for over 20 years now on the farm. And we have a 500-acre property which we manage, and we have about around 15 devotees staying here at the present time. So Maharaj just asked me to give my, understanding about the importance of developing the Vedic sort of model, the Varnasrama model, as we develop these communities. So fortunately, we've been hearing some nice discussions, as in this morning, on the topic, and it's invariably undeniable that there are different divisions among us as human beings as far as our working proclivities go, and it's very natural for us to work according to the type of mentality and skills that we have acquired. So Prabhupada mentions that the Varnas are there, whether they're in a perverted form or whether they're more understood according to the scripture. So it's not that we're introducing something, but we're just trying to work in harmony with our nature and with the design that pleases Krishna. So I work in all the 4 Varnas in any given day. It's noticeable. So as devotees, we tend to try and establish the basic facilities here. And I'm seeing now, as a group of people are starting to commit to a lifestyle here, there are natural tendencies among the devotees. Some devotees love to relish classes and ongoing discussions and study, and some devotees have have some conceptions about administering the future there. They have some experience or skills or training, and then of course we've got a couple of dyed-in-the-wool farmers. It's probably Australian saying, dyed in the wool. But anyway, there's people that like Ananta Sesh here, studied about the agriculture throughout his life, came from that background. There's a very Vice just got a spirit to make, capitalise on whatever facilities are there and establish the kind of infrastructure that's needed to make it profitable. And then there's the rest of people who are happy to, support whatever's needed and do it. And we have a nice man here who spends a lot of time in the workshop, even in his an advanced age in his 70s, but he's made a lot of nice furniture around for the farm, and he keeps the workshop beautifully. And he comes to the classes in the morning, does his chanting, but he admits himself to be more or less just a skilled person that is happy to work under a steady, secure situation.
We went to see actually the shop, the barn yesterday, where he has, and he's very expert at keeping it very clean and whatnot. Yeah,
it was a disaster without him. So these things are there. So personally, I like the service with relating with cows and bulls, and understood in my time on this farm. And originally I lived on another farm in New Zealand, and by gradual cultivation of understanding Prabhupada's books and his mission, that it's very important to establish this vision of self-sufficiency based on cow protection. And we have some nice literatures here, compilations of Srila Prabhupada's discussions on these matters, and it's very much evident that excuse me, I'll just turn this device off. It's very much evident that engaging bulls, oxen, is very central integral to the meaning of cow protection. And even though we've had a limited amount of people to run a big project with deity worship here, I sacrificed other opportunities personally just to get involved with this side of cow protection, learning myself how to handle bulls and train them. And I'm certainly a long, long way from an adept person in it. But actually it's very satisfying, to have the privilege to be around cows and bulls. And, I'm feeling I was explaining to you last night, learned a bit by, through the media. There's some training programs you can get about looking after bulls and training them. And, by following step by step, we've had a bit of degree in success in training one team here.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other people that are interested now, and I'd like to pass that interest on, because I can see that in every way it becomes auspicious when we have this, when we have the bullock cart working. People like to come. It's a fascination for people because it's traditional.
Yeah.
And people, we still have our connections with our traditions, and all over the world, the sustainable agriculture is incorporated, animal power.
Correct.
So
you're also doing some gardening or growing food here, I believe, also.
Yeah, we have a nice vegetable garden here.
That's going to supply another project that's in Newcastle.
Yeah, we have a wonderful restaurant and bhakti centre in the local city of Newcastle. That's run by Abhay Charan and Jayanti, his wife.
So some of this food that's being produced here is...
That's right. It's going down to the restaurant regularly. Abhay is an avid gardener, so he's a great cook and he's a good gardener. So there's a good combination. He's inspired a few of the devotees here to take up the gardening mission. Right. And in between the pujas, you'll see a couple of our, nice brahmanas out there growing some very good crops of vegetables. So your devotees are taking pleasure in the natural life, and we don't need to overly discriminate as, whose job is whose job. But as I say, it's just obvious what we like to do and what we're able to do, which gives us some understanding of where we fit into this nice system of Krishna's system.
Would you say that when we come to a place like here in New Gokul, the natural tendencies more easily become manifest, I suppose, as opposed to city?
Well, I've heard you mention this point, Maharaj, that it was mentioned the other night with Sukha Vyas, that it's hard to, this day and age, everything's so confused in the urban environment where everyone is, first forced to work for their masters.
Yeah.
It's hard to sort of let the spirit fly.
Yeah.
And when, as you pointed out in rural communities, because they're sort of a little bit more in sync with tradition, then the natural propensities seem to be evident. I grappled with that for a long time when I was working in the city temples of what am I, and what should I do, and how can you tell the people? But in the appropriate situation, then it's not too difficult. Whatever you like doing, it'll come out pretty much.
It's probably one of the reasons why Prabhupada encouraged and wanted that people come out and spend some time, for example.
Yeah.
Then some of that understanding can become more obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's philosophy put into actuality. And I think the point that I really appreciate you establishing in your presentations is the necessity. Half of a mission seems to be, and we'll be talking in these terms of the other half. There seems to be, we have the philosophy, we have the wonderful philosophy our previous acharyas, put into the Bhaktivedanta purports. Yeah. It's a lifetime study of studying this philosophy. But we have to walk the talk. We have to demonstrate that at least, we can try and put these, basic principles into action to illustrate the philosophy. And I think this can really set the Krishna consciousness movement a very progressive image in the public eyes if we, just like the Amish and Quakers and different traditional people around the world have stuck with their traditions, and they're respected for that. And we can't be respected unless we as much unless we're actually demonstrating to one degree or another. And that's really attracts the hearts of devotees and people when they see this natural living, this traditional lifestyle that Krishna is extolling. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, people come and they see that you can still live on the land. It's become almost utopian, as you use the word. People think, no, you can't do that nowadays. Somehow the supermen of the past did it, but it's just not practical now. But people are inspired. They come and they see a group of nice people that are, bravely attempting to, go back and establish this sustenance. What do they call it? Subsistence living. It used to be like a dirty word in school. These undeveloped countries, all they can do is subsistence. But when we find out the reality, as we know from Prabhupada, it's a noble profession to grow food, to produce food that nourishes everybody's dependent on in the society. And it's the basis there that milk from the cows and grains and vegetables.
You also, because you have a good number of cows, produce also milk, different milk products.
We have, at present we have 4 milking cows. They produce about 20 to 25 litres a day at the moment. It's not a great deal. The season has been a little difficult this year. But by Krishna's grace, over the last decade or so, we've been producing milk every day for the deities, sometimes lesser and sometimes more. But we make the basic products here of yogurt and butter, and when we've got a little more excess, then we produce a bit of ghee and some paneer. But we also share the products with the restaurant here in Newcastle. They're happy to get some protected cow products. This is a big issue, the vegan versus vegetarian. So we often find that we support the values of the vegans who don't like the exploitation, but when we present that there's a positive alternative to engage, protect these animals and use their services for a godly society.
Any upcoming plans for developing the project here in Yugopur?
Yeah, we have an infrastructure plan for the project here. Socially, we're seeing that some of the senior members of ISKCON are sort of looking for a situation where they're in the association of devotees and in a place where they can still be able to render some productive service. And I really feel that from different points of view at this point in time, we need to facilitate those devotees who've given a lot of blood, sweat and tears to Srila Prabhupada and his movement, better than just putting them in an old people's home or something like that. And I think these communities can have a win-win situation if we support, if we make opportunity for, devotees that are, they need that nice environment, and at the same time to be able to, speak to so many people that come to these communities, and also give their life experience to helping the younger people in the communities. It's a very valuable thing, and I think that was a thing that was a problem in the beginning of our farm communities. We were young, passionate people. There was a lot of headbutting there, like young goats. But I think now we're seeing older devotees have a bit more experience, mellowed out a bit, and able to sort of weather the storms that come and go, and give that stability to the community. They're a wonderful asset, the older people, and we didn't have them before, except for Prabhupada, practically. So I think we're seeing some new good symptoms of regrowth coming through. So we plan to create facilities here for our devotees, and also to bring in a lot of groups. I was saying to you today, the Bhakti groups that are growing in the cities, they love to come out in the in the natural environment for retreat
Yeah.
and for practicing their sadhana, it's a great opportunity for them.
Right.
Of course, we want to go on and develop our agriculture and our cow protection too.
Right. Very good. Any maybe last minute kind of advice, because very often it seems difficult to attract devotees or get them involved. How to change that?
I don't know, Maharaj. We'll clone Bhaktivedanta Swami. If we had two of him, we could really get to work. Because like you said this morning, we've got our work cut out for us. We can't deny the the great challenge of preaching in the city.
Right.
Just, getting the preaching happening and activated and having representation in all the cities and the urban places in the world, but to give credence, to give credibility that we have to live this lifestyle too.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating opportunities for our future generations here. You can see these communities, various communities around the world that have their sustainable side of them. Then a lot of their community stays within the community and does some occupations related often to the farming.
Right.
So I think for the older people, as I mentioned, and I think for the younger people coming up in our society, that if they see a stable community, it can be an attractive. It can attract their contribution, their future contribution.
Yeah.
So my hope is that some of the young people will get inspired that there's a great work to do here to
maybe more interaction between our city temples and such.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we're trying to work on having good relationship with our city groups, so that we've been working hard to build new accommodations here, so that the leaders like yourself, Janananda Maharaj, Bhakti Russ and Rita, Dave and Rita, they all come to Australia and have retreat programs. We would like to host them here, and give the people the opportunity to associate with the cows.
Yeah.
I really liked your presentation this last couple of days about the importance of the great benefit of associating with the cows, as Krishna did 5,000 years ago, as he does in the spiritual world.
Right.
So,
and we're going to be starting to do that today.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have a big crowd here today. We'll have a go puja. They can come and pat Mayuri.
Circumambulate. Circumambulate the cow.
Circumambulate the cow. Touch the cow.
Yeah.
So take photos with the cow.
Yes.
At the bottom of it all, after the philosophy,
right.
my family had dairy farms when I was a city boy. But when you're in an environment with the cows, they're just wonderful creatures. You feel kind of naturally happy to be around a funny creature like a cow.
Yeah.
I guess I do I do this work because I like cows.
Right. Just like yesterday when we met Nandi.
Nandi, yeah. He's quite a character.
Yeah. He's so big and yet so gentle.
We were having a program at my friend Ananta's house a month or two ago, and he invited the next door neighbour, who's the Christian rector, who's the Church of England priest. So we had an interesting kirtan and a dinner. At dinner we were talking, and I told him that I was training some bulls, and it got him off. He said, my father had bulls. He said, God, I loved them. He said, they were such gentle giants, those creatures. He used to pull the logs, and he said, they were so amazing, they're so powerful. And he got right into the conversation, how they used to pull the logs up on the truck,
Yeah.
And, if you get the association with cows and bulls, that's the main thing. You can appreciate their gentle nature.
Yes.
And the benefit that we get from associating with such mode of goodness creatures.
Yeah. Some of that will rub off us. Yeah.
Especially when you're working with them, you have to keep you cool.
Yeah, correct.
Otherwise.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna.